I'm the co-founder of Indie. Today we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about how you can merchandise your content, how merchandising can increase your revenues and deepen your customer engagement. Let's begin. When I say merchandise, you probably have a few things come to mind. For the sake of our conversation today, we'll talk about 3 categories of merchandise. The first category is what we used to call swag. Think of this as branded content. This can be mugs, keychains, t-shirts with your logo. The second category is what I'm calling brands you love. These are products that you probably today recommend without even thinking about it. And then the third category is original product. This is great for those of you who are self-published authors, photographers, or artisans. Now that we know a little bit about what merchandise can be, let's talk a little bit about why you might want to consider adding merchandise to your tour business. Obviously, the first reason you might want to consider adding merchandise or products to your business is that it will help drive your average revenues per guest. For each guest who buys one of your products, your revenue should go up for your overall business. The second and equally important reason to add merchandise to your business is that it deepens your brand engagement. Long after you've said goodbye to that guest, they're going to return home with that product that they bought from your company. Remember the great experience that you delivered and will be more likely to recommend or even return on another tour. The third one, and perhaps most critical to adding merchandise to your business, it lets you diversify your revenue so that hopefully as you add more merchandise and give your guests a fuller experience after they leave your tour, you're not exclusively reliant on tours as your main driver of revenue, but that hopefully 70 or only 80% of your revenues are tours, and then the balance are merchandise. So now that we know a little bit about what merchandise can be, why you might want to consider it, let's talk about how you might want to start this. So, a couple decisions that you have to think about. You have to decide first, where do you want to sell merchandise? Do you want to sell it through your social media? Talk a little bit about this later. Do you want to sell it directly on your website? Or do you want to sell it in person at the end of your tour? You also have to think about how do you want to integrate it. Our recommendation at Indie is that you keep it simple. You integrate your merchandise directly in the same way that your guests book tours today. Same payment provider, same website. Keep your revenue all in one place. Keep your life simple. And then the last thing is to decide on your first 3 products. We recommend 3 as opposed to 1, just to give your guests some choice. Choose products that are relevant to how you want your brand represented. So now that we know a little bit about what merchandise is, why you should do it, and how potentially to start, let's talk about the elephant in the room. You might be thinking, well, that's all great, but I don't know where to find products, right? Well, the good news is in 2022, there's platforms like Shopify that make it easy for you to source, curate, sell. They even manage the inventory and shipping for you. So, for example, if you run a food tour in Berlin and you'd like to upsell or offer your guests merchandise in the form of reusable fork and knife sets that they can take with them in their backpack, that's easy to do. Through Shopify, you can find that, you can source it. Anytime a guest orders it, they'll mail it directly to your guest. You don't have to order 100 units and have them sitting in your garage, but rather Shopify helps you solve all of that. That's just one example of one website and one product of how you can start to add merchandise to your business. Let's talk a little bit about where to start. So, we recommend starting with your current guests. For those of you who are going to be on tour in the next few weeks, start with guests on that tour. What swag or merchandise or product, use the word that makes sense for you, but what swag would they expect to see on your tour? If you're running a coffee tour, I would bet guests are expecting for you to offer them the coffee that you recommend, or a great reusable mug. Start with your guests who have been on your tour most recently. They'll know and give you very candid and honest feedback. Then, once you've gotten a few points of feedback from your guests, sit back and start to think about the 3 products that best match your brand. Right? If you're running a sustainable food tour, working in partnership with local restaurateurs and creators, you're probably not going to want to recommend something that's been made half a world away. Select products that match your brand and will remind your guests, again, long after they've left your tour, of why they decided to work with you and why they might want to come back to you as well. Third, start to design your product. This can be the most fun for some of us. There's free tools like Canva or Vistaprint that can help you design this. You can get feedback by sharing your new design on social media and start to get some early buyers from your past travelers. Lastly, find a way to subtly work your new merchandise or product into your existing content. Hard sells really don't go well here. Use your merchandise as prizes for content across your social media or your website. We recommend, if you're launching merchandise, email your past guests, say thank you, let them know that you've started to add merchandise, and offer them a discount code. And then lastly, again, integrate your merchandise into your existing reservation flow. Don't make it hard for your guests to find your new merchandise. I talked a little bit about selling through social media. This is called social selling. The two places that make it really, really easy are Facebook and Instagram. So if you already have pages on Facebook and Instagram, you're ahead of the game. On Instagram, you're going to want to create what's called a catalog and add products through there, adding the price, quantity, and volume. You can add products to Instagram via Facebook Commerce Manager, and you can tag links to your merch in your stories and posts to drive engagement. On Facebook, if this is important to you, you can also invest some money in paid ads to promote your merch. We don't necessarily recommend this to start. Start with using free reach to your guests. Repost your merch, let your customers know it's there, and then as you get some feedback and analytics and data, then you can decide if you want to invest in paid ads. Lastly, I'm happy to say that Indy is starting to do some work in this space. We are working with Shopify. We've built an app called Indy Experiences. This lets you have a beautiful website built on Shopify, which is an e-commerce and website solution, but also with our app, you can sell and distribute your tours and experiences all from one place. So now you can sell your guests merchandise, tours, connect through to Viator and Expedia, all in one central location. We are offering 30 companies 3 months free of a purpose-built website and store. You're probably wondering what the catch is. Well, there is no catch, I promise you. We won't ask you for a credit card. What we get in return is super candid feedback on your all-in-one merchandise and tour website. We know how hard it is, being former tour operators ourselves, to run a website that lets your guests book your tours, integrate those tours to the OTAs, and then also upsell guests on merchandise. And so that's the problem we're trying to solve through technology. We get your candid feedback, you get a website that you owned at the end of 3 months, no catch. If you're interested in this, you can go to our website, you can email us at hello@indytravel.co and find out more information of how to get started.